The top story of the day, we've got the boxing gloves out again. We've got Google and Microsoft at it because Google has launched Cloud Connect finally for Microsoft Office, and Microsoft is biting back. So obviously, the Cloud Connect is so that you can pull in those Microsoft Office documents into Google Docs, obviously taking a stab directly at Microsoft. So Microsoft is saying back to Google, although it's flattering that Google is acknowledging customer demand for Office, we're not sure Google's heart is in the productivity business. This was Microsoft's statement. Their revenue and market share have been minuscule after 4 years of trying, and services like Cloud Connect appear to be more targeted at getting your data onto their servers than helping you get things done. Ouch. So the question here, though, guys, is does Microsoft have a point? You know, people are becoming leery of Google's power, and is this a productivity play for Google, or is this truly another way to get at our data? Dave, let's start with you.
I think Google wants the market. I don't think they're necessarily trying to get at the data. I don't really kind of join the tinfoil hat crowd out there with the Google trying to take over the world. But they are trying to get at the billions of dollars we're spending on productivity applications like word processing, calendaring, email, things like that. And they want to own that space, and they would like to go after Microsoft for that space as they both race to the cloud. Google with their Cloud Connect product I thought was a brilliant move because they're basically wiring around Google and using their own APIs against them. I thought that was hilarious. Now you got to remember also they don't support the Mac coming out of the gate. It's probably not going to be a great, well-tested product as we see it, but it is a huge shot across the bow, the Microsoft stuff. Microsoft 365 platform is a fairly strong platform. I think they're going to be very successful with it going forward. I think Google, however, is going to continue on getting some market share, specifically in the enterprises and in the government agencies that are looking to adopt them. So they're going to get more share away from Microsoft as time goes on. Microsoft, however, is so embedded, I'm not sure if I see everybody moving to Google in waves going forward. They're probably going to use it like we use it. I mean, we talked about this in the show before. I use Microsoft Word to do all my books and articles and blogging, things like that. We want to do collaboration and collaborate on spreadsheets and documents and proposals and those sorts of things. I'm going to use Google Docs. If Microsoft is able to provide that collaboration capability, which looks like 365 will, then Google's going to have an issue. So they're probably moving quickly and aggressively, and the sniping is basically a result of that.
John, would you agree? Should Microsoft be worried, and is Google going to succeed with the enterprise?
Well, golly, first off, I sure love the sniping. Isn't it fun to have Google and Microsoft going at it?
Of course. Of course it is.
It's like watching King Kong and Godzilla. I just really hope to see some blood and gore. Of course, I'm more frightened of Google these days than maybe I've ever been of Microsoft. But what interests me is this notion that Google has minuscule revenue from their cloud activity here. And I think that's generally true of, I have to confess, cloud computing in general. If you add up all the revenues of all the cloud computing companies, including Salesforce.com and Amazon, you're still looking at handfuls of billions out of a $3.3 trillion global IT economy. So what confuses me here is whether there is a massive revenue opportunity from some of this cloud application activity, or if that's too far in the future before it's a multi-billion-dollar activity. I'm just a little confused about why the revenues are so small.
Dave, any thoughts on that? I like when someone comes up with a contrarian viewpoint.
Yeah, I mean, we're still at the onset of this stuff. I mean, the fact of the matter is that we're talking a lot about cloud computing, and as far as people who are buying things and making things happen, it's a relatively small part of the pie. Microsoft, it's a minuscule part of the pie. It's probably not even appearing on anybody's radar screens in terms of looking at the technology. Google, it's a very small part of the pie, the classic cloud computing technology away from their search and their ad revenue business. But that's the way things kind of grow. We get into this space with kind of a very early stage view where the hype is out exceeding the revenue that's actually occurring out there. So this is a phenomenon that occurred in any other waves of technology in space, specifically the web space, like in the early 90s. And I suspect the way in which it's going to inflect is very much going to be like the web space. The hype is going to settle down. We're going to start getting to work with the technology, and everybody and anybody's going to run into the cloud and therefore consume these services, and that's when everybody starts making some money. It's not now at the early stages.